Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at equating trigonometric equations to also another trigonometric equation, but without numbers and more variables. So the example we're going to be looking at 5 sine theta minus 7 cos theta equals 2a sine of theta plus b, where we have to find a plus b. So looking at this from the beginning, it looks very, well, not complicated, but you're not sure where to start and how to solve it. In reality, it's quite easy, and once you find out how to do it, it's just going to be clockwork. And so in the beginning, we can look at that we have sine a plus b, and we have this thing on the right. On the left, there's absolutely nothing we can do with what's on the left. So let's work with what's on the right. On the right, we have 2 times a times sine theta plus b. Well, let's expand that. So let's take 2a out so that it doesn't mess up our working. Sine theta plus b is sine theta sine b plus, oh wait, I'm sorry, it's not. Sine theta cos b plus sine b cos theta. Okay, and this comes from a trigonometric identity of sine alpha plus beta equals sine alpha cos beta. Now it's also important that this plus remains a plus, because if you know that in the cosine rule, which is the same, this sign switches to a minus, and from a minus to a plus. So in sines, it remains the same. And so let's open that this expression up to 2a sine, and let's rearrange it a bit. So 2a cos b sine theta plus 2a sine b cos theta. Now all I did here is I just switched around the cos and sine, so cos is here and sine is here, and then I multiplied by 2a, and then same goes here, I multiply by 2a, sine b is here, and cos is here. So absolutely nothing done, it's super complicated. Okay, so at this juncture, we can see that it's still very far from what we have on the left side, but in reality, it's actually the identical thing. So let's write what's on the left here. We have 5 sine theta minus 7 cos theta. Now, the question I would pose for you is, what is 5 and what is 7? Well, it's a multiple. It's the coefficient of sine and the coefficient of cos theta. Now, if we look at our right side, we have that exact same coefficient on the right. It's just that it's not as pretty as we have it on the left, right? And so if 5 sine theta minus 7 cos theta equals, and let's rewrite this as, let's take this coefficient to be the same, right? So it is the same. This coefficient is equal to this coefficient. So if we rewrite it, let's say it's alpha sine theta minus beta cos theta equals, and this is going to be alpha sine theta. Wait, mistake, sorry, this is meant to be plus. I mean, it's meant to be minus, never mind. Yeah, plus, what's it called? B cos theta. So we have the exact same thing on the left and right, apart from the change in sign over here, but still, the numbers are the same. And so if alpha and alpha are the same and beta are the same, let's equate those numbers. So 5 would give us 2a cos b. And then negative 7, because again, it's the whole thing over here. So it's negative 7 would give us 2a sine b. In fact, let's rewrite this a bit differently to make it a bit easier to look at. Let's write it as negative 7 equals 2a sine b, and 5 equals cos b. Now, if we look at what we have here, it's just the coefficients equated to the coefficients on the right side. Correct, okay, but we have a 2a sine b and a 2a cos b. So what can we do with these two things? as we know, because these are, let's say, two equations, right? And how do we usually solve a system of equations? Well, we can either solve it graphically, we can express one variable and express it in the next equation, or we can, through method of elimination, find the variable. So in this case, we can divide the top equation, let's write 1 and 2, we can divide 1 by 2, and let's see what that gives us. So if we divide 2a sine b over 2a cos b, and so obviously also we have to divide these two numbers, so we get negative 7 over 5. Well, this cancels out, right? And we're left with sine b over cos b equals negative 7 over 5. From this point onward, it is very, well, kind of straightforward. So sine b over cos b, what is that? Well, that's tan b. And that equals to negative 7 over 5. And usually in such questions, they would give you what b is, unless it's if it's a non-calc paper, they would tell you that like 0.7 over 0.7 of sine equals this number, and 0.5 of, or whatever. You get what I'm saying? They'll give you the actual value of b in this case. And so in our case, however, the b value is, give me a second, I have to use my calculator for this. In our case, the value of b is 54.46 degrees, right? Okay, so, but how do we know that it's positive? Because here we have a negative, and how do we know that this is the angle? Well, let's look at our unit circle. Let's look at our unit circle and see where this tangent is supposed to be. So we have an angle, 54.46, and it's a tangent. So this angle is either in this quadrant or in this quadrant, right? Because tangent, this is the two quadrants for tangents. Now let's look at what quadrants are positive for a cosine. Because if you remember, over here on the top, we have a positive sine, negative sine, sorry, and a positive cosine. So where is sine negative? Well, sine is negative in these two quadrants, right? And where is sine positive? No, sorry, and where's cosine positive? Cosine is positive in, no, not good. Cosine is positive in these two quadrants. Okay, and so if we have a tangent that has to be in one of these quadrants, and either this or this one, and in this quadrant we have an overlap of what we're needing, well, obviously the tangent has to be in this quadrant, right? And so if it's in this quadrant, 54.46 isn't the number. The value, it has to be 360 minus 54.46, which gives us 305.54. And so this actually is the angle, right? And that's why it's not 54.46, because our tangent here, well, the tangent gives us the value of 54.6 if we do it through a calculator, but that's not the value. However, if we do it at negative cosine b and positive sine, then the answer is going to be in this quadrant, right? However, it's obviously not, so we're going to exclude that and keep our previous answer, 305.54, but that's b. So how do we find a? Well, one way to do it is, well, basically just substitute it back into the original equation. So let's use cosine, for example. 5 equals 2 times a times cosine of 305.54. So a equals 5 over 2 cosine 305.54, which gives us 4.3. Nonetheless, the idea still stands that we have to find our variables, and in case they ask us anything further on, we have to finish the question and not just focus on the variable. But yeah, this is how you find the A and B, which there are usually only two of them in a question like this. So an A and B or whatever. And why it's not just the first answer that you see with these questions, and why you have to actually think about what you're doing. Because the first answer here was 54.6, but that wasn't the answer because it wasn't in that quadrant, it was in a different quadrant.